Good day, everyone. The church has chosen the letters of St. John, the three epistles, as our chosen readings for Easter. And it's not difficult to reason why. The letters focus on the theme of authentic fellowship with God. One may well ask, well, why authentic? Why authentic fellowship with God? Well, it's possible to be inauthentic in our relationship with God. This was a problem in the early church where there was opposition from outside, chiefly from the Jewish faction, and also divisions within the church as well. A lot of disagreement, particularly about doctrinal matters. And probably the most glaring matter that surfaces in 1 John verse 8 is by those who claimed that there was no such thing as sin. There was a faction of the church that claimed that there was no such thing as sin. Now, this is a very attractive proposition, but it also recognizes that sin became a nagging problem in the lives of believers. We are God's people called to holiness and redeemed by Christ, but yet still we sin. How come? 1 John responds to this by making an appeal to our advocate, and that word advocate is used very deliberately. Our advocate, Christ himself, who in his sinless state constantly pleads our cause before our Father. It is this that gives us the boldness or the courage that 1 John speaks about in chapter 4, verse 14. It is a word found 4 times in 1 John, and what it does is that it gives us confidence that we have the boldness to come before God with our prayers, even in our sinless state, because we have our advocate Jesus who is there for us. But it is 2 John, one of the shortest books in the Bible. In fact, I think it is the shortest book in the Bible that comes to us this weekend, just 1 chapter long. It makes an appeal for church members to abide in truth, and goes on to warn members about certain heretical teachers who were going about deceiving people. The writer refers to them as false teachers and even as the Antichrist. It sets up a kind of a siege mentality in the church, we versus them, that the church is in battle against outside forces who threatens us and who threaten the very foundation of the church with novel ideas. 1 John almost reads like a modern letter written to warn us today about trendy theological ideas that come out on almost a daily basis. We are advised to hold on to the truth that has been handed on to us, to hold on to what the church has revealed to us. But what is the truth? This letter of John presents 2 basic themes that we have to hold on to. The first one is that God is light. It says in John 8:12, and I'm quoting from the Gospel of John, that Jesus refers to himself as the light of the world. In chapter 3, verse 19, it says, "This is the verdict. Light has come into the world, but people loved darkness instead of light, because their deeds were evil. Everyone who does evil hates the light and will not come into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed. But whoever lives by the truth comes into the light, so that it may be seen plainly that what they have done has been done in the sight of God." John 3:19-21. Interesting, isn't it? An appeal to hold on to the light. To walk in the light means to commit to things of the Spirit. God has a subtle way of stripping away from our lives everything that is not of Him. Everything, including gossip, forms of lust, divisive attitudes, ungodly passions, lying, stealing, and any other sinful habits of the flesh. And one of the most difficult sins to break from is the sin of relationships that We feel that relationships will bring total happiness to us, and we move from one relationship to the next, and we discover that it does not satisfy us. 1 John 4 makes makes mention of the second big theme of these letters, and that is that God is love. So God is light and God is love. It says here in 4:7-8, dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. This is where this very interesting remark comes from, that God is love. God is the source of love, and He is the one who provides us with the ability to love one another. Now, sometimes we find that we are not prone to loving. Sometimes we become very cold, very distant, and very disconnected from people around us. And sometimes we just have a very negative outlook. We tend towards seclusion. We lose our trust in humankind and in people. But we have to slowly learn to open ourselves up to the vulnerability of loving people, even though at times it can be very difficult and very awkward as well. So 1 John focuses on these two themes: God is light and God is love. And we are invited as Christians to walk in the living and growing freedom from sin, always experiencing the love of God and allowing His light to shine in our lives. God bless you all during this Easter season.